do you have like a metric that you look for when you're looking at how much cash a company spits off? Because when I look at so I kind of can, one of the things that Joel Greenblatt sh- shared that I really liked is he said, it's kind of like you're buying real estate. You think about the whole picture. You think about the debt and the assets, and then how much cash is getting thrown off of the business each year or each month or whatever you want to use for your metric. What's kind of the metric you're looking for with how much cash is coming off of an operation?
He wrote that book, the little book that beats the market.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a unique way of figuring out return on invested capital.
Yeah.
And I looked at that, and I've pretty much adopted what he's done there. So I'm looking at a good return, ROIC.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you find some really high ones in these spinoffs. They're not going to be able to duplicate that going into the future. But here's a company that's earning a lot on their assets. And so if you can just give them a little bit more cash, maybe they can do something about it. But I don't have a set hurdle where, well, I guess I do. If the ROIC is below 20, I'm not interested.
Oh, yeah.
But most of them are above. And in the back of the Form 10, I've never heard anybody talk about this. So I don't think it's a big secret. But in the back of the Form 10, they got the current financials for that spinoff. Well, you can go back there and look at the cash flow statement and you can see if they're sending back money to the parent.
Yeah.
And if they're sending back a lot of money to the parent and the parent's not turning around and giving that back to them, I like that. That's something I start looking at because all of a sudden these guys are going to have a lot more cash than they've had for quite a while. And then you got to evaluate what are they going to do with it.
Yeah.
How do they talk? I wish it was a science, but it isn't. And I'm glad it's not a science because it's judgment that if it was a science and you could do algorithms and spit it out, then it wouldn't exist. It's because it requires judgment that these opportunities continue to exist, in my opinion.
Yeah. I totally agree. Totally agree. So yeah, I think there's certain hurdles that you kind of have to have, but I don't know if it's a hard, fast rule all the time. So.
Well, he talks about an ROIC and he talks about an earnings yield. Yeah. And I, with very small adjustments, have just adopted what he has in that book. I think that's in the appendix of the book.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at that book in a long time, but when it came out, I remember thinking, well, this is a neat thing, but what I thought was really neat is look at how this guy's evaluating stuff,
Yeah.
It's certainly different in the way that Graham looks at those ratios, And what Greenblatt made a lot more sense to me. Mm-hmm. It just made a lot more sense. And so I've adopted it.
Have you ever read The Acquirer's Multiple?
Yes.
That's another one I thought personally that makes pretty good sense. How do I identify?
Tobias is, I think he's a good guy. I'm really not a big fan of EBITDA.
Me either.
And that's what he uses. Have you ever gotten Greenblatt's? There's a fellow out there that audited his class over a couple of years, and are you aware of this? And he tape recorded all the classes, and then he sent the tape recordings off to, I believe, India, had somebody transcribe them, and he's got a whole bunch of class notes.
Yeah, I'd like to see the class notes. I've seen the videos, and I like the videos of his classes.
Yeah. Well, there's some class notes, and you ought to get a copy. You can just put in. Guy's name is John Chu, and at one time he kind of had it kind of squirreled away, but it's pretty common out there. Just type in Greenblatt class notes or something; he'll come right up.
Okay.
About 300 pages long, and it's kind of disorganized and wanders around a bit. But there's some good hints on what to do. That was getting those notes, and I can't remember when I got those from John. Those notes were an eye opener to me. There are certain gaps coming out of his book that those class notes will fill.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's definitely something that I need to spend some time reading.
Just be aware that they're a little disorganized, and he does an analysis of an old spinoff, Duff and Phelps, and they've got the financials there, and then there's commentary about how you evaluate it. But the commentary, he must have done that every year. The commentary is from a different year than the set of financial statements. So the numbers don't match up. You got to go by the labels. But I remember looking over that and and the commentary and stuff, and that was kind of an eye opener. So yes, and I used pretty much what he used in that example. That was great. To me, the whole problem with value investing is nobody tells you how to value a stupid business. No. And I searched years and years and years. Like I said, I went back and Buffett bought Coca-Cola, whenever it was, and I'd go back and look at Coca-Cola that year, and I said, well, there's nothing remarkable going on here. How do you value this thing? And it was just a total mystery.
Well,
just to kind of open your eyes.